Hello, hello, you guys. We are back at it again. This is the FASD Collective with Shifts That Work, where we talk about survival, success, and everything in between. It's me again. I'm Jen. I am one of our fun FASD caregivers at the Florida Center. And I'm going to just pause for a second and let everybody introduce themselves. And then we're going to have a little chat today about what it's like to be a caregiver caring for somebody with FASD. Crystal?
Hey, I am Crystal. I am parent advocate here at the Florida Center and mom of seven, and I have four on the spectrum, the FASD spectrum.
Pam.
Hi, I'm Pam. I am one of the intake coordinators for the FASD clinic, and I have one child who is amazing and 21 and the apple of my eye, and also the biggest cause of stress in my life. Because I love him, but I worry about him. And you all get it because you're caregivers.
True mom fashion there, Pam. Love it. Rosemary?
Hi, everybody. I'm Rosemary. I'm also an intake coordinator and I do education navigation for our families in the FASD clinic. I've also raised two now young adults from infancy who have FASD. One is very high functioning and one is full syndrome and needy.
So, caregivers, when we tell you we know what it's like to be in the trenches, we mean we know what it's like to be in the trenches. So, we thought that our conversation today can kind of focus on what are the things that we do as caregivers to help ourselves, because we know this journey can be challenging. And sometimes it's the little shifts that help us be able to do things better and differently and can just breathe a little bit of life back into ourselves, because that's important. Taking care of ourselves is really important. I'm going to share a quick little story. I had a professor in grad school who was talking about, being able to pour from our cups, right? And this message has stuck with me, and it just is so important, and I think is a great example to talk about with today's talking about ourselves and the things that we do to help make our lives a little bit better. And she was telling us that she keeps her cup full and she shares the overflow. Right? We always talk about filling our cup, doing the things for us and whatever that looks like. And I just really appreciate that perspective and, doing things to make sure that we keep our own cups flowing and full. And, not only can you not pour from an empty cup, but if I'm giving and I don't have a whole lot to give, then that's kind of hard too, right? So what can we do to help fill our own cups? Crystal, let's start with you. And what is something that you would want to share with a caregiver who is either new to this FASD journey or is just looking at a shift that they could make to help make this a little bit easier?
Well, one thing that I think helps me in particular a lot is just trying to make my world small. Uh, you know, Life is busy. We're busy moms. And anything that I can do to take some of the stress or the obligation off of myself frees me up to be able to pay more attention to the priorities in my life. And that in itself is a form of self-care because then when I am, focusing on my priorities, I'm not, overwhelmed, way stressed. So that is something that helps me a lot. And there's not always a lot of time to be able to go and just, do something to take care of myself. And so some of the things that I do is just try to make sure I get outside, especially on a nice day. Maybe I'll, take my work outside and do something out there. If I can spend time next to the water or in the water, then that's good too. There's a lot of forms of self-care, and sometimes it's just, reducing some of the obligation that we have and grabbing those few moments to just, focus on making sure that we're doing okay, checking in with ourselves.
Those are great suggestions. And I love another caregiver shared this with me. Um, they changed the way they think about the word self-care to self-compassion. Right. I feel
I
like
love
self-care
that.
is such a big word that we hear all the time. So if we take that shift, right, like how can you make time to give yourself some compassionate care.
Yeah,
I thought that
that's
was really
perfect.
fun. Yeah. Rosemary, what about you? Your experience might be a little bit different. As a single parent of two kiddos, what were some things that you were doing when life was hard in the trenches?
But my kids were both adopted from foster care, and we lived in a different state. And I had the uh, good fortune to work on a college, big university campus with a village nearby. So I was able to, during my lunch, because my time was limited and I couldn't hand the kids off to anybody else, to take advantage of my lunch and my breaks to get errands done in the local area while I was on my lunch, so that it freed up my evenings and weekends to do kid things and also take care of myself. I was able to get doctor appointments. I even grocery shopped in the old days before we had the pandemic and everything switched to online, where I would bring a cooler with me. I just couldn't buy frozen foods, but I was able to get a lot of those errands done. And for self care, now that I live here in Florida and have a yard, I love to garden. It's my happy place, and I'm right close by. If the kids, when they were here, needed me, I would be right here. But there's just something about trying to keep plants alive in the Florida sun that was relaxing and made me happy to see the learning process of how to garden.
I'm glad you enjoy gardening because it is definitely not my form of self-care. I'm lucky when I keep cactuses alive. Pam, what about you? What are some things that you've been able to do with your shifts?
I would say that I'm in a really hard season with this right now. I think of you, Jen, and you always say we can't pour from an empty cup, and you say things that fill your cup. And I've been wondering a lot in the last couple of months, like what fills my cup. I feel like I don't know anymore. It's been really hard. Um, and I am coming off a serious COVID infection, so I think that taints I was really sick with that for a really long time. So I think that's tainted that. But I would say that when the going gets tough, I really try to focus on having food that I like to eat in the house. Like I think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs and meeting those very basic needs with food that I feel like is healthy. So I will put the things in my grocery cart, my Walmart app, and I do not set foot in the store to buy groceries. And my husband is so helpful and he would love to do that for me, but he wants to go to the store. And now that I've been online shopping for so many years, I can't go back. Like, I can't. I am not made for grocery shopping in the store anymore. So I'll put the food in my app. That's been really helpful for me. Another thing I do is I've got these little caterpillars. I accidentally bought a plant that was milkweed, and there were monarch caterpillars on it. And so for the last couple of years, I've raised these caterpillars. So now I have about 15 monarch caterpillars on my catio, and I'll wait for them. About 10 are in chrysalises, and the others are eating and growing. And that just really fills my cup. I've got another type of butterfly that's laying eggs and has caterpillars in the backyard, not in the catio, because they're not as pretty as the monarchs, I have to say. So that has really been helpful for me. And then I do take walks every day. I'm walking is kind of my anchor right now, getting my steps in because I know that's good for my physical health. Yeah, but I have been struggling with that. And as the other gals were talking or other girls were talking, it made me think of isolation, but also, so I think with FASD, there's a lot of isolation. We're so isolated from friends and family. But then also, that puts me in the position of being the sole person for another person. So there's this extreme of isolation, and there's also the extreme of like never having time alone. And so I like Rosemary's tip about gardening, and I'm going to encourage myself to go out and be in my yard alone. And it's okay that I'm out in the yard by myself. Like, I think I need a little bit more alone time to fill my cup. So,
Thanks for sharing, Pam. I think one of the things that has really set with me the most is as a caregiver, finding my community, finding my group of people who understand what this journey can look like and the ups and downs that come along with it, and the really, really big highs, and then sometimes the really, really tough lows. And again, everything in between. I feel like if you're not aware that you're on this journey, if whether you are or you're not, just parenting kiddos who are neurodiverse and having to learn about how to advocate for them, how to advocate for yourself, how to do so many things, and to do them differently than maybe the way that we learned to do them. Finding my people, finding my tribe. Like, I will forever be thankful for those initial support group meetings and those Facebook posts. And when that these people get it, right? Like, they get it. So yeah, that's hopefully some really great tips and some ideas and some things to maybe get you thinking as a caregiver to somebody who might have some challenges, whether they've got FASD or if they have some other type of neurodiversity or special situation that just puts you as a caregiver in a tough place. So we would love to hear your tips and tricks. Share with us either in the comments or heck, send us an email. Let us know. We want to know what works for you, because I'm sure that you've got some experience out there that you can give wonderful ideas to others as well. So from those of us with the FASD Collective, we thank you so much for joining us and hope to see you again next time.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.